試験監督者は音量及び室内の聞こえ具合を確認してください。2018年度第2回実用英語技能検定1級リスニングテスト。ただいまから1級リスニングテストを行います。これからお話しすることについて質問は受けませんので、よく注意して聞いてください。なお、リスニングテスト放送中に音飛びや騒音があった場合は、発生した問題のトラックに戻し、やり直します。しかしながら、万が一、教室監督者が気づかない場合は、速やかに手を挙げてお知らせ願います。このテストでは、テストの方法と注意事項がすべて英語で放送されます。
The listening test for the Grade 1 examination is about to begin. Listen carefully to the directions. You will not be permitted to ask questions during the test. This test has 4 parts. All of the questions in these 4 parts are multiple choice questions. For each question, choose the best answer from among the 4 choices written in your test booklet. On your answer sheet, find the number of the question and mark your answer. You are permitted to take notes for every part of this listening test. Now, here are the directions for Part 1. In this part, you will hear 10 dialogues, number 1 through number 10. Each dialogue will be followed by 1 question. For each question, you will have 10 seconds to choose the best answer and mark your answer on your answer sheet. The dialogue and the question will be given only once.
Now we will begin the Grade 1 listening test. Number 1.
You know, if we sold our house here in California, we could buy 3 in Utah.
Great! But do we need 3 houses?
We could rent out the other 2. The monthly income would cover our mortgage, and we'd probably help build up a nice little nest egg.
Interesting idea. I wonder if I could find a decent job out there. I suppose it's worth exploring.
Question. What is the woman suggesting they do?
Number 2.
I hear you're a consultant for zoos, Alyssa. That sounds exciting.
It can be, but it's also pretty distressing at times.
I'm surprised to hear that. I mean, zoos have come a long way from tiny cages, right?
True, but the basic problem is still there for many animals. Take elephants, for instance. In their natural habitat, they can roam 50 kilometers a day. No zoo offers that kind of space.
How about safari parks, then? Aren't they more humane?
Elephants don't flourish in captivity, period. They're wanderers and social animals. Fortunately, I've convinced several parks to give them up.
It sounds to me like you're doing quite a bit of good.
Question. What does the woman imply?
Number 3.
Have you noticed that Jonathan seems tense lately?
Tense? He's worse than tense. He's trying to do too many things at once and isn't handling any of them very well.
We could take over some of the work if he'd ask us. I don't think he trusts us to do it properly, though.
I'm not sure it's a matter of trust. He's new at the position and just doesn't know how to make best use of the team around him yet.
Well, he'd better start learning.
Question. What do these people think Jonathan should do?
Number 4.
The sales manager is still giving me a hard time, even after I surpassed my quota for the 3rd month in a row. It's impossible to please him.
Listen, Chad, this has been going on for over a year now. I think it's time for you to move on to greener pastures.
But it's not that easy to just walk out. The director brought me into the company, and he really counts on me. I owe him big time.
I think he'll understand if you talk to him about it.
I have talked to him about it, and he just tells me to hang in there. He told me the manager might be transferred someday.
Question. What does the woman imply Chad should do?
Number 5.
What do you think of Professor Hopkins, Mary?
I like his lecture style. He's very energetic.
He sure is, and his explanations are really clear.
Still, this first paper he's assigned us is a bit much, don't you think?
Yeah, there's more reading material to get through than I expected, and we're going to have to put in a fair amount of time for research.
I agree. It seems over the top for only a 2-credit class.
Question. What do the students imply about Professor Hopkins?
Number 6.
Judy, I hear you've become interested in urban farming.
Well, I've got a big vegetable garden and a couple of chickens in my yard, but I wouldn't call it farming.
Everybody seems to be jumping on the local food bandwagon.
It's rewarding to grow your own food.
I guess I don't see it that way. I was forced to work on my family's farm as a kid.
Really? So you can appreciate the effort involved.
What I appreciate is the convenience of supermarkets.
Question. What does the man imply?
Number 7.
Lamar, I need you to go to our new Shanghai office next week.
To recruit a sales team?
We're not that far along yet. We'll hire a sales director first, but that'll be next month. There's a more immediate concern.
You mean the negotiation with Lotus International?
No, that's done. As I'm sure you've heard, our factory is in violation of government regulations. I need you to meet with our attorney there about bringing everything into compliance. We'll discuss it in detail at today's meeting.
Fine. See you at 2.
Question. Why is the man being sent to Shanghai?
Number 8.
I've been thinking, honey. Summer's coming, and I really need to lose some weight.
Well, your diet's pretty healthy. How about jogging?
Are you kidding? You know I've always hated that.
Okay. You could swim in the municipal pool or try the sports club that just opened up.
I thought about the pool, but it's a long way, even by car. The sports club has nice facilities. If only the fees weren't so pricey.
Well, I'm out of ideas.
I suppose I'll just have to drive the extra distance then.
Question. What will the woman probably do?
Number 9.
Hey, Brenda. How are your writing class students doing?
Most of them are making progress, thanks, but a few are struggling.
Do you mind if I ask how Yolanda Smith's doing?
Funny you should ask. Remember how we both thought she would be a star student? Well, she's not doing so well. She turned in a report last week that was very poor. Lots of fancy words and phrases, but the text lacked flow and coherence. Is there a problem in your class, too?
Well, as you know, she's always been a good student in my public speaking class. But recently, she seems to have a bit of an attitude problem. She seems really disinterested.
Now that you mention it, she was late with a report last month, too. I wonder if she's okay. Maybe she's having personal problems.
Do you think we should take this to the program director and see what he thinks?
That's an idea, but we could have a word with Yolanda before that. We've always gotten along well with her, and I don't want to make a big deal about it if it's something we can help her with.
Fair enough. Let's see how that goes. Then we can take it from there.
Question. What have these people decided to do first? Number 10.
Kevin, can you believe how overloaded with work we are these days?
Tell me about it. I'm falling further and further behind with all this sales campaign work we're involved in, and on the rare occasion I get to eat dinner with my family, I feel like a stranger.
I know what you mean. It seems like Mr. Abbott has trouble saying no to upper management when they propose new projects. I'm barely keeping my head above water.
I think we should talk to him about hiring a new team member. I'm not sure how long we can continue like this.
Actually, I had an informal talk with him a few days ago and suggested that, but it doesn't sound like it's in the cards. There's no room in the budget for extra personnel. He did finish on a positive note, though.
What's that?
Michelle and Jack are going to be finished with the Sanderson Corporation project next week, and they'll be available to take some of the work off of us then.
Well, that's certainly better than nothing. But you know they're going to get some other urgent assignment sooner or later, and then we'll be back in the same situation as we are now.
Question. What will happen next week?
Here are the directions for Part 2. In this part, you will hear 5 passages, A through E. Each passage will be followed by 2 questions, number 11 through number 20. For each question, you will have 10 seconds to choose the best answer and mark your answer on your answer sheet. The passage and the questions will be given only once. Now, let's begin.
A. The fight against malaria. Malaria is a disease that kills hundreds of thousands of people every year. It is caused by the Plasmodium parasite, which is spread by mosquitoes. Finding a way to prevent malaria from being transmitted to humans has long been a goal of scientists. Recently, such a dream has moved closer to reality. Researchers in the United States have used a new technique to genetically modify mosquitoes. The result is that 95% of the modified mosquito's offspring are born with a gene that blocks the transmission of the Plasmodium parasite. This means that genetically altering a small number of mosquitoes and releasing them into the wild could potentially lead to the spread of the gene throughout an entire population. The new technique involves researchers accessing mosquito DNA and inserting the modified gene into target areas of the genome. The gene produces antibodies that attach themselves to the parasite. These antibodies prevent the parasite from navigating to the mosquito's mouth. Because of this, the parasite is unable to infect humans when mosquitoes bite. Researchers are optimistic this new technique will prove to be an important tool in the effort to eliminate malaria.
Questions. Number 11. What makes the modified gene promising? Number 12. How does the modified gene work?
B. Stone Age diets. It is generally thought that our Stone Age ancestors in the Paleolithic era mainly consumed meat, wild fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Modern-day followers of such diets believe most people are too reliant on overly processed foods, such as dairy products, complex carbohydrates, like white bread, and refined sugars. This, they say, has increased the frequency of obesity and illnesses such as heart disease and diabetes. Modern-day Paleolithic diet followers avoid such products and instead rely on animal protein, vegetables, fruit, and unrefined fats and oils. They believe we have inherited our Stone Age ancestors' physiology and metabolism, so it is important to mimic their dietary patterns. While the number of people in the West following the Paleolithic diet is increasing, the reasoning behind it is questionable. For one thing, no one knows for certain what Paleolithic humans ate. There is, for example, some evidence that people consumed grains and flour even before agriculture developed. Furthermore, human bodies have adapted to post-agricultural foods. The ability to digest milk, for example, has evolved and been passed on through the genes of certain populations. Admittedly, however, few would argue that exploring ways to eat more healthily is a bad thing.
Questions. Number 13. What do followers of the modern-day Paleolithic diet try to do? Number 14. What concern does the speaker mention about the modern-day Paleolithic diet? C. Driverless cars. While many people eagerly anticipate the mass adoption of driverless cars, there are obstacles in the way of achieving this. First, statistical analysis of road tests reveals that a driverless car is more likely to be involved in a minor accident than a human-driven vehicle is. This is because most human drivers tend to slightly exceed the speed limit or accelerate when going through yellow lights, and they assume that other cars will do the same. When driverless cars strictly follow the rules of the road, however, they can sometimes get hit from behind by human-driven cars. Another obstacle is a moral one. The car's software will have to be programmed to make decisions to minimize loss of life in the case of unavoidable collisions. Commentators believe that one particularly difficult issue is whether a car should risk the life of its occupants by, for example, purposely driving into a wall in order to avoid pedestrians. It is likely that public opinion will be influential in determining how cars should be programmed for such situations. Therefore, answers to some difficult questions must be found before computers take the wheel completely.
Questions. Number 15. Why are driverless cars more likely to be involved in minor accidents? Number 16. What must be decided before driverless cars are widely adopted?
D. Millennials in the workforce. People born between 1980 and 2000, often known as millennials, are quickly becoming a significant part of the workforce. By 2020, they will account for 50% of the world's workers. This generation, which grew up during the digital age, is often seen by its elders as lazy and self-centered. However, this view is too simplistic. It is natural that the work ethic of millennials is markedly different from that of previous generations, who often enjoyed the security of lifetime employment. Many millennials have become discontented with a system that does not necessarily recognize loyalty. They argue that since the system will not give them security, they should try to find work that provides a sense of fulfillment. As a result, it is hardly surprising that nearly 60% of millennials have already switched careers at least once. This is not to say, however, that millennials lack ability. In fact, observers suggest that this demographic, armed with extensive digital know-how, is actually more productive than previous generations. When faced with obstacles, millennials simply utilize time-efficient, tech-based solutions over the old-fashioned method of putting in long hours for the company.
Questions. Number 17. How can millennials' attitude to work best be described? Number 18. What is one thing observers say about millennials? E. Dinosaurs in the desert. The Nemegt Basin, a desert area in Mongolia, contains one of the world's largest deposits of dinosaur bones. Unfortunately, paleontologists are not the only ones interested in the fossils. Authorities say that a huge number of them have been stolen by people who sell them to private collectors. Although dinosaurs lived on Earth for around 165 million years, only about 3,000 skeletons are known to exist. Furthermore, over half of the 1,300 dinosaur species known to us have been identified from single skeletons. For paleontologists, this means that with each stolen fossil, precious opportunities to identify new species may be lost. The thefts are therefore a serious cause for concern. The extreme dryness of the desert has preserved the fossils in the Nemegt Basin well. Not only are there bones, but paleontologists can study footprints, eggs, and prey animals that have been preserved along with the dinosaurs. These provide valuable clues about how dinosaurs interacted both with each other and with their ecosystem. However, since thieves leave no records of their finds or the context they were discovered in, this valuable scientific resource is under threat. Thanks to increased public awareness and international pressure, the Mongolian government is taking steps to control fossil theft.
Questions. Number 19. What is one issue that concerns paleontologists? Number 20. Why is the Nemegt Basin significant for paleontologists?
Here are the directions for Part 3. In this part, you will hear 5 passages, F through J. The passages represent real-life situations and may contain sound effects. Each passage will have one question, number 21 through number 25. Before each passage, you will have 10 seconds to read the situation and question written in your test booklet. After you hear the passage, you will have 10 seconds to choose the best answer and mark your answer on your answer sheet. The passage will be given only once. Now, let's begin.
F. You have 10 seconds to read the situation and question number 21.
So, you said one of your goals is to obtain a distributor agreement for your golf products with Oliveira in Brazil. Since you've been in talks for a few months now, you'll know that Oliveira prides itself on being the only retailer in Brazil to carry famous overseas brands like yours, and they boast about it in their advertisements. Letting them be your exclusive Brazilian distributor would almost guarantee a deal. It's possible that you could make an agreement with them without offering exclusivity, but it'll be tricky. You mentioned bringing one of your more experienced representatives into the negotiations. From what I know, Oliveira values strong personal relationships. I recommend sticking with your current team. A new face, no matter how skilled, could reduce your chances. Instead, work on building trust with Oliveira representatives. You can then slowly introduce the idea of a non-exclusive agreement.
Now, mark your answer on your answer sheet.
G. You have 10 seconds to read the situation and question number 22.
Hi, I've got an urgent request. Danielle Foster from Veritech Corporation is flying in on Thursday. She can visit our office for a 1-hour meeting at 3 p.m. on Thursday. I'd like you to be there to give her a presentation on our new range of monitors. I know you've been working to get Roberto up to speed on giving sales presentations, but he's not ready yet. I want you to meet Danielle directly since she's traveling this far. If Thursday afternoon is impossible, we'll have to try to reschedule. It'll be tight because she's only in town until late Friday night, and her Thursday morning is already booked. She mentioned that Friday might work, but we need to arrange that quickly because her schedule is filling up. I'm out of the office today, so let Jill know what you can do and she'll get in touch with Danielle.
Now mark your answer on your answer sheet.
H. You have 10 seconds to read the situation and question number 23.
I'm so sorry, but your reservation is not in our system. Since you booked and prepaid online through a third party, I can't authorize a refund. But if you email us the receipt from the booking company, I'll pass it on to the hotel manager. She's away this week, but she can contact the company next week and figure out what can be done concerning compensation. In the meantime, unfortunately, the room you wanted is unavailable. And we only have executive suites for $150. I could get you in at one of our sister hotels. There's a small room left at the Windmill Hotel, which is about 5 minutes' walk from Greenvale Station. That would be $89. Alternatively, we have the Great Eastern across town. It's not on the train line, so you'd have to take a cab, but a nice room there would be between $75 and $100.
Now mark your answer on your answer sheet.
I. You have 10 seconds to read the situation and question number 24.
Eight nursing students will be travelling to a conference in Australia. The nursing department has asked us to put together a 3-week intensive preparation course, and I'd like you to create the curriculum. The conference will be in early December. I'll email you as soon as I know the exact dates. Our students will need to be able to understand a series of lectures about nursing that will be directed toward Australian students. You'll have to refer to their scores on last year's English proficiency test to give you a sense of what they're capable of. You will also need to decide on 2 other instructors for the course, but I suggest you wait until you have a grasp of the students' levels. That way you can choose the most suitable teachers for the course.
Now mark your answer on your answer sheet.
J. You have 10 seconds to read the situation and question number 25.
First, let me tell you about the wildlife you can see to help you make your decision. In May, thousands of migrating birds return, as do many marine mammals. June is when the salmon start running, so that's also the time the bears start getting out and about. The whales come through in July and August. Now to the tours. From May through August, there's a great 10-night trip to Greenville that includes both Gladwin Bay and the Ice Strait. Over the same period, There's a 5-night cruise that ends up in Hampton after Gladwin Bay. Finally, there is a nice option in September, which we've had wonderful reviews for. It's an 8-night round-trip cruise, which goes to Waterford Glacier and is mainly aimed at birdwatchers. Remember that July and August are the peak season, as most people want to see the whales, so the prices are high.
Now mark your answer on your answer sheet.
Finally, here are the directions for Part 4. In this part, you will hear an interview. The interview will be followed by 2 questions, number 26 and number 27. For each question, you will have 10 seconds to choose the best answer and mark your answer on your answer sheet. The interview and the questions will be given only once.
Now let's listen to the interview. This is an interview with Tony Collins, a financial advisor living and working in Japan.
Welcome, listeners, to Business Buzz with me, Derek Howe. Today, my guest is Tony Collins, a financial advisor. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you.
Could you briefly tell us what your job entails?
Yes, I help clients with investment accounts and mortgages, and to a lesser extent, real estate business.
What are some of the biggest hurdles you face when running a business in Japan?
The majority of our income comes from investments which are denominated in US dollars and euros and sterling, but our expenses are always denominated in yen. So one of the challenges can be if you get a spike in the value of yen, then that makes all of your expenses quite expensive compared to the value of your income. So that's one big challenge. I think the other thing is economic factors, because those economic factors influence the value of clients' holdings, and also whether our clients are in Japan. Because we deal mainly with foreign customers, if the economy in Japan gets worse, then some clients will move and go to another country like Hong Kong or Singapore. And that's been quite a strong trend that we've seen over the last 3 to 4 years.
Some people would like to make their own investments, invest for themselves. Would you advise people to do that?
If people are investing themselves, then I just think that they need to be aware of a few fundamentals, one of them being diversification, because it's very easy to, instead of investing, to start speculating or start investing into niche sectors which people individually have a feeling will come off. But the danger of doing that is that you concentrate your investments too highly. And if what you expect to happen doesn't happen, then it can really affect the value of your investments. So what an advisor can do, and I think should be doing, is to help you to make sure that you're making some objective decisions and that you're not concentrating your investment portfolio into niche sectors or avoiding some important areas where you really should invest.
And how would you consider the general population's image of financial advisors?
I think that there is a reasonable amount of suspicion, especially initially, because people are rightly concerned about the advisor being less concerned about the advice and more concerned about the commission and self-interest. So I think many people will want to know that the advisor really is independent. And to be truly independent is very difficult to objectively prove. But I think that that is the concern that many people have.
Well, thank you for talking with us today, Tony.
You're welcome.
Questions. Number 26. What is one thing Tony says about his business? Number 27. What is one thing that Tony says about financial advisors?
Your time is up. Stop writing and wait quietly until the answer sheets have been collected.
では、時間です。筆記用具を置いて答えの記入をやめてください。これにて試験終了となります。公正なる試験実施にご協力いただきありがとうございました。質問がある方は直ちに試験監督者にお申し出ください。試験監督者に連絡いたします。これより最終の受験者数を確認してください。その後、回答用紙を回収し、枚数の確認を行ってください。なお、問題冊子は回収しません。受験者数と回答用紙の枚数の一致を確認してから解散の指示を出してください。受験者の皆さんは身の回りをよく点検し、忘れ物がないように注意してください。受験者の皆さんが退出するときは、別の教室が試験中の場合もありますので、声を出さず、会場出口まで静かに退出してください。それでは、解散の指示を出すまで静かにお待ちください。